While there is a historical denialism among the Indian Muslim intelligentsia about the past, there is a present amnesia getting reflected in Bangladesh's intellectuals. The chaos intensified in the neighboring country with the arrest of ISKCON head of Bangladesh, Chinmoy Krishnadas Prabhu, last week on sedition charges. Do you know on what grounds those charges were slapped on him? Because during a protest, someone hoisted a saffron flag along with Bangladesh flag, only that the saffron flag flew a little higher, which is for sure amounts to disrespect for the national flag. There should be a law, like we have in India, to deal with disrespect to our national emblems. But going beyond that, to deny bail to the Hindu monk on procedural grounds is a clear case of vindictive spite of the usurper Yunus regime in Dhaka. When we in the Indian media raise and amplify what's happening in Bangladesh, they cry victimhood. They say Indian media is distorting and misinforming. Look at some of the phrases being used. Contrived narrative of the Indian media, reads one column. Power drunk and click driven, says another. Even though the incidents of violence shouldn't have happened at all in the first place, they were made for far worse by a belligerent Indian media, says one op-ed. This is an op-ed in the Daily Star, which is putting the onus of lawlessness in Bangladesh on Indian media. Then a rhetorical question. All attacks on minorities are totally unacceptable, while Bangladesh must work to ensure security for all. Does this justify the Indian media's portrayal of Bangladesh? They are asking us. The owner-editor of the newspaper, Mahfouz Anam, wrote on Friday, "What India is doing is refusing to acknowledge that we have the right to change our government democratically. While the regime change may not have followed the usual electoral route, which the former Prime Minister herself prevented, ironically, if she had allowed for the holding of free elections and lost, she might have at least remained in the country instead of facing the humiliation of fleeing. It was an expression of public will that elections typically reflect. It was democracy in full play." Imagine. Democracy in full play. Sheikh Hasina is deposed in a violent coup on August 5. Only 3 days later, Mohammad Yunus is pulled out of his hibernation in the United States and flown down to Dhaka to take charge on August 8. And a senior journalist in Bangladesh calls it an example of democracy in full play. Same day, the Home Affairs advisor Jahangir Alam Chaudhry of the Bangladesh government blamed Indian media for spreading misinformation about his country. He said, "Indian media is an example of how a country can spread false information about another. The people of this country will unite in protesting that." At a protest in Dhaka, a senior BNP leader, Ruhul Kabir Rizvi, burnt his wife's sari as a mark of protest against India. While the ruse was boycott of Indian products and encouragement of local goods, the picture could not have been more telling. Sari is what differentiated Bangladeshi women from the salwar kameez or burqa wearing women of Pakistan. Sari is the cultural link that connects Bangladesh with the rest of Bengal. It identifies or it defines Bengaliness like the Bengali language itself. Anam, Chaudhry and Rizvi are not willing to see the problem for what it is. It is easy to blame Indian media for highlighting the distance Bangladesh has traveled from Bengali nationalism since August 5. This week also gave another marker of how dangerously Bangladesh is pivoting itself to Pakistan in a throwback to General Ziaur Rahman days. The usurper Yunus regime has tweaked rules to allow Pakistanis to get visas without any security clearances. The measure was introduced in 2019 following intelligence on Pakistani deep state's interference in Bangladeshi politics, particularly with the radical elements. A month before this, Dhaka had allowed direct cargo vessel movement from Karachi to Chittagong port. Stricter dress codes are getting implemented for women on campuses. Restrictions on shopping by women in Gopalganj town were reported this week. Bail to Chinmoy Krishnadas might be an internal matter of Bangladesh. But Talibanization of Bangladesh has been an ongoing process. The post-August 5 trajectory of events has only unchained those forces that had gained strength over the last couple of decades. For India, the developments in Bangladesh are a serious concern. We cannot sit for long and let the situation unravel. The pivoting to Pakistan, the letting free of radical forces like pro-Al-Qaeda cleric Jashimuddin Rahmani, the continued repression of minorities and women, the denialism on worsening rule of law, compromise of India's national security, all call for an intervention plan by India. Hopefully, we would see a coordinated move once the new government takes charge in Washington, D.C.